Good morning, I'm Maddie Jansen, and this is the podcast of 17 News at Sunrise. It's everything you need to know to start your day in about 15 minutes.
Working in the spirit of the Golden Empire, this is 17 News at Sunrise.
Good morning. Shocking new details in the murder case of Jose Arredando. Mexican police say they've arrested the killer, and the family says Arredando knew the man who stabbed him.
New deal. McFarland is set to save hundreds of thousands of dollars with the county fire department, but a new tax could come to those living in the city.
It's almost time. The first day of school is just days away for many students. And if you haven't done your shopping, we have a look at the most popular products this year. This is Tuesday, July 30th, 2019. To have you with us, I'm Maddie Jansen.
And I'm Alex Fisher. Welcome back. How was your birthday?
Thank you. It was great. Spent some time up in the mountains,
Looked like you had a fun little trail that you hiked yesterday.
We did. It's in the Tehachapi Mountain Park area. And even though, I've lived in Kern County all my life, I'd never been to the Tehachapi Mountain Park area until I moved up there. And it's absolutely beautiful if you have a chance. There are a lot of campgrounds and trails. So, it's fun to check out.
You make it sound like it was so nice. But when we FaceTimed you yesterday, you were like, at least someone knows where I am.
That's what I said. I'm actually answering this so that I have a witness to where I am. And also, do mountain lions come out during the day?
You know what's weird? I actually had a dream about mountain lions. That's a whole other conversation, but that's
we'll
weird
go
that you
into
said
that
that.
Next half hour.
All right, let's take a look at your forecast because although it was a little bit of a warm day yesterday, it wasn't as hot as it was on Saturday, or Sunday, I should say.
Yeah, we were able to trim it back 5 degrees yesterday. The high was 105 yesterday. The record on that date was 114, and that was set back in 1908, so we trimmed it back at least 5 degrees. As we take a look at the temperature right now, 76 under a calm wind, and let's take a look at the dog walk forecast, and we're featuring Murphy today. Murphy has the right idea. Just stay in the pool and fetch the ball. 80 degrees by 8 a.m., 87 by 10, and then by the afternoon we get a little bit hot, so best just keep the dogs outdoors, and give them plenty of water and shade. But Murphy is our featured pet of the day. As we take a look at Tehachapi, 63 degrees right now with a light wind out of the north-northwest at 3 miles per hour. And as we take a look at the hour-by-hour forecast here, we are going to start out in the 60s, 76 at 9, and then 80s expected throughout the afternoon. We'll talk much more about your forecast in just a little bit, but first, let's get a check of the morning commute with Alex.
All right, thanks so much, Kevin. Taking you outside for the first time this morning to the 99 near White Lane, and it's looking pretty clear on that side of town. We do have one traffic crash on Mount Pinos Way near Fraser Mountain Park Road. The good news, though, is that it doesn't look like there's going to be any injuries associated with this crash. Just be mindful of that if you are headed that way. It looks like a vehicle hit a deer. And then also on the westbound lanes of the 58, just west of Hart Flat Road, there's also another crash. No injuries associated with this, but it looks like the semi went into the center divider. So just be mindful if you're headed on the westbound lanes of the 58. We'll have another check of your commute coming up in about 15 minutes.
We begin this morning with breaking news out of Washington, where a congressional report says the organizations that should have protected young female gymnasts from sexual abuse by former Olympic gymnastics team doctor Larry Nassar, including the U.S. Olympic Committee and the FBI, quote, fundamentally failed to do so for years. In an interview with NBC News, Connecticut Senator Richard Blumenthal, the ranking member of the Senate subcommittee overseeing the Olympics, described the actions of the organizations as a, quote, cover-up. The scathing report obtained by NBC News before publication outlines the findings of an 18-month investigation by Blumenthal and the other members of the Senate Commerce Subcommittee on Manufacturing, Trade, and Consumer Protection. It's accompanied by proposed legislation to improve oversight and prevent future abuse that will be introduced Tuesday. We'll have more details on this story ahead this morning on the Today Show. You can watch the Today Show right here on TV 17 following 17 News at Sunrise. Back here locally, new information this morning about the murder of a beloved local car dealer. Late last night, hours after a celebration of life service for Jose Arredando wrapped up in southwest Bakersfield, we got word of an arrest in the case. 17th Amber Frias broke news of this development here in town and joins us with the details.
Jose Arredondo's sister Laura told me after last night's service that the person arrested is a good friend of Jose's. And Mexican police confirmed a man named Roberto was arrested Monday in Mexico, 2 weeks after Arredondo was murdered. Mexican authorities have arrested this man, 50-year-old Roberto from Hidalgo, Mexico, in connection with Jose Arredondo's death. Due to legal reasons, Mexican authorities are not allowed to release the suspect's last name. But family members say they're well aware of who this man is.
That particular person was a friend of his for 20 years.
According to police and the family, he wasn't the only one involved.
they have one of them, but it wasn't just one. It was more than one, but at least they have one, and I know that person it's gonna talk.
In a news release, police state Roberto and the company of others arrived at Arredondo's condo in Cabo San Lucas on Monday, July 15th, and beat him to death.
He was not a fighter. He will see somebody argue and he will walk away. He was not a fighter. And for somebody to do that to him, it doesn't have a name.
Arredondo was found dead the following day.
It's just been incredibly hard for my whole family.
Last week, Arredondo's family held funeral services for their loved one. Monday, on what would have been his 61st birthday, family and friends celebrated his life.
If you die and you have 5 friends at your funeral, you're the richest man in the world. And there's many more here.
Mourners offered prayers and memories during the service at New Life Church in Southwest Bakersfield.
And this guy calls me on the phone and he says, "Hey man," I don't know if you guys remember that, but "Hey man, you want to play golf?"
A slideshow of a smiling Arredondo and heartfelt melodies. His son Samuel Arredondo also offered some words.
I just want to say I really loved him so much, and he really reached out a lot, and he gave the community service a lot of help. So I hope one day I could be the man like him.
Arredondo leaves behind his wife Laura, daughter Maria Elena, and son Samuel Arredondo. We will continue to keep you updated as more information becomes available in the investigation into Jose Arredondo's murder. Amber Frias, 17 News.
This morning, an investigation is underway after a person suffered what Bakersfield police are calling a medical event while in custody. Late last night, a Bakersfield police officer was called to the area near Highway 58 and Oswell Street for a report of a suspicious person. BPD says that's when, while in custody, the person suffered the, quote, medical event. Paramedics rushed the person to the hospital. It's not clear what type of medical event the person suffered, and no word on how they're doing this morning.
The Northern California community of Gilroy continues to mourn in the wake of a deadly shooting at a food festival. People gathered at a vigil last night to remember the 3 people killed when a gunman opened fire at the Garlic Festival Sunday. 6-year-old Stephen Romero, 13-year-old Keila Salazar, and 25-year-old Trevor Irby died in the shooting. 12 others were hurt. Police shot and killed the gunman within a minute of getting reports of an active shooter. Police say the gunman used an AK-47 type assault rifle he purchased legally in Nevada back on July 9th. The gun store owner who says his business sold the gun to the gunman is speaking out. The owner of Big Mike's Gun and Ammo Shop in Fallon, Nevada, wrote in a Facebook post that the suspected shooter purchased a gun from the business online. He added the gunman was, quote, happy and showed no reasons for concern. The owner says he did not know the man and is heartbroken over the shooting.
Governor Gavin Newsom spoke with reporters about the mass shooting. Newsom met with victims and family members and said they comforted him more than the other way around. He spoke angrily about how often these shootings happen.
What went wrong? What's going wrong? It's slow motion mass murders that are happening all across the United States. There's a culture of gun violence and, machismo. Sickening. I don't think there's anything more frustrating than people watching the nightly news and seeing someone like me come out and expressing yet again. And then, 3 days from now, we'll zig and zag on a new tweet and some other new crisis. And, we'll be off to the normalization that occurs every single night in the emergency room here, which is not mass murders, but a typical night in Santa Clara County. And we've just accepted it. We've all just grown to accept it. And we have leadership today that just turns a blind eye to this and won't do a damn thing to address these issues. California is doing its part, but Jesus, these guys, the folks in the White House have been supporting a kind of policies to roll back the work we're doing in states like ours to get rid of large capacity magazines, to address the issues that we're trying to advance on background check.
McFarland is set to save nearly $700,000 in a new deal with the county fire department. The city and the fire department have been in contract negotiations over some $680,000 McFarland owes the department. The fire department now supports a new contract that will have the city pay $230,000 by the end of next year. In return, the county will retain the interest. Mayor Manuel Cantu says McFarland is trying to bring in more business interests and raise its sales tax to Ford Fire Service.
And that's our drive right now, increase the sales tax because we need to find ways to continue to pay for that fire service.
The new contract is on the agenda for today's Board of Supervisors meeting.
Also on the agenda, lightning in a bottle. The 5-day music festival happened at Lake Buena Vista back in May. Overall, the county says the event was a success and there were no major problems. It adds the festival brought in about $6 million through contracts with government agencies plus community spending. The county does have some suggestions on where organizers can improve next year. Supervisors are set to hear more on the event review later this morning.
5:10 now, and it is a battle over pay, and now we're hearing the other side of the argument. The claims the president of the U.S. Soccer Federation is making in the midst of a gender discrimination lawsuit.
And he's coming back to Baco. We'll have details on when Garth Brooks is making a comeback. Still ahead this morning on Sunrise.
New information about a former Cal State Bakersfield professor convicted of possessing child pornography. The California Board of Psychology has filed an accusation to revoke his license. Theodore Ashita was an assistant professor of psychology at CSUB when police arrested him last year. Ashita pleaded no contest to possessing content depicting minors engaged in sexual conduct and to all enhancements filed with the charge. He did not have to go to jail, but did have to register as a sex offender. The Psychology Board calls the crimes Ashita was convicted of egregious and says they violate the psychology licensing law.
A Central Valley priest with ties to McFarland won't face charges after being investigated for sexual misconduct. Father Raul Diaz is a McFarland native who served at St. Catherine of Siena Church in Dinuba. In May, he was placed on leave after someone reported possible inappropriate behavior with a minor. But about 2 months later, the Tulare County District Attorney told Dinuba police charges will not be filed. The Diocese of Fresno plans to investigate on its own to determine whether Diaz will be allowed to serve again. Another Bakersfield priest remains under investigation facing sexual assault allegations. You may remember in April, the Diocese of Fresno placed Father Miguel Flores of St. Joseph's on leave. This investigation is linked to past accusations in 2002 when he was accused of sexually abusing and threatening a 16-year-old office assistant in the towns of Hanford and Tranquility. Flores was originally declared innocent in the case, but new information caused the diocese to reopen.
New this morning, Bakersfield Police and the Kern County Auto Theft Club Task Force are teaming up to protect your car from auto theft. If you own a Honda Accord, Honda Civic, Acura Integra, Chevrolet Silverado, or GMC Sierra manufactured between 1995 and 2005, you may be eligible for an auto theft deterrent device. To get this device, you must be a resident of Bakersfield and the registered owner. You can head to the Bakersfield Police Department with a copy of your vehicle registration and a driver license. For more information, visit our website, kget.com.
It's a company that's been around for decades, but that's only been a part of Wall Street for a fraction of that time.
How executives from one local ranch are set to help close up Wall Street today, and the reason for the occasion.
Heads up for Capital One customers. The credit card company says a hacker got a hold of the names and addresses of about 100 million people in the U.S. and 6 million people in Canada. Police have arrested the person they say is behind the attack, 33-year-old Paige Thompson. She previously worked for a Seattle technology company as a software engineer. Investigators say Thompson posted information about the hack, which happened between March 12th and July 17th, on a coding platform. Another user saw the post and notified Capital One of the breach. It's going to be a big day on Wall Street for a local ranch. Representatives from Tejon Ranch are set to ring the closing bell at the New York Stock Exchange today. They're doing it to celebrate the 20th anniversary of Tejon Ranch being a member of the exchange. Tejon Ranch Co. incorporated as a public company in 1936. Throughout its 175-year history, the ranch has played a significant role in the development of both California and the nation. Summer fun is almost coming to an end, and it's time to start looking at that back-to-school shopping list. You might be surprised by what consumers are buying this year. Mary Maloney has more in today's Consumer Watch.
As kids head back to school, families are planning to spend more than ever on supplies. That's according to a survey of nearly 8,000 families by the National Retail Federation. On average, parents of K through 12 students expect to drop nearly $700 this fall. The NRF data projects American households will spend the most this year on clothing and accessories. Electronics such as computers, calculators, and phones came in second on the list.
It seems that more and more schools are requiring you to have these things, so no surprise there.
And then there's back to college. Electronics are big with this crowd too, and that's where shoppers will put most of their money. They expect to spend almost $1,000 on all of their supplies before even starting classes. Some of that will go towards showing their school spirit and furnishing their new pads.
They're shopping in their university stores, and they're buying a lot of stuff for the dorm rooms.
For Consumer Watch, I'm Mary Maloney.
It's just hard to believe. I mean, it is already, some students are already back in the classroom.
Yeah, some of them are.
You know, when you think about tomorrow being the last day of July, I mean, it's already here.